I love this jam. My little cousin, Antonio Hancock, Saxo Rose. I love this tune. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, this is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where if you're going to complain, let's bring those solutions to the table. So, welcome to another edition. And tonight's episode is entitled, Is It a Reality to Have a Municipality? So, before I bring on my two guests, I want to get into my segment, What the Hell is Derek Complaining About Now? So, according to the stats, Charles County is the 9th most populated county in the state of Maryland out of 23 counties. Our median income is somewhere between $93,000 and $95,000, but we do have almost a 7% resident of our residents who live in poverty. Keep in mind the data, it will be subject to change based on the new census, but what makes Charles County unique is there's no other county in Maryland that compares to our diversity. Charles County has the largest racial ethnic groups when you look at versus white and black, and in Charles County is about 43%, and blacks is about 42, close to 43%. Hispanics are roughly about 5.5%. The closest county to our diverse makeup is Somerset County, and they have 51% white, followed by 41% black. Hispanics are around 3%. But the median income there is about $54,000. And so when you look at that, you see the drastic disparity when it comes to the population, but also to the poverty rate, which is 22% there in Somerset. So what does this really mean to a lifelong resident or a new resident of Charles County? Charles County residents pay the highest Maryland real property tax rate at 1.205, only second to Baltimore City, with 2.24, and that may have changed. But we also have a diverse population, and with diverse populations, we have diverse needs to boost economic development and improve the overall standard of living for everyone. So, what is bringing me here? Waldorf is home, and when you count St. Charles, it would be the second largest city in the state of Maryland. If you don't count St. Charles, we would be the sixth with approximately 74,000. But sustainability, most of what St. Charles has is homes. So they, to some degree, really would be incorporated into Waldorf, which would make us the second largest city in the state of Maryland. So why not become incorporated if the elected officials aren't looking out for our best interests? Previous and probably current administrations, I don't know, a lot of them will talk about things that they're trying to do to boost the overall economic development here in Charles County. But what happens is, I'm gonna be blunt, our property tax assessments go up, our tax rate either stays the same, and if we don't have business coming in, it's very difficult for us to get the revenue that we need. Most of that revenue is really coming from Charles County. Well, I'm sorry, not Charles County, but from Waldorf, St. Charles area. And when you look at it, we're getting pimped. And we lack the basic amenities. And there's a lot of regulatory demands on businesses, unlike most of the Maryland counties, including our neighboring counties. We need such things as federal government agencies, contractors, live music, entertainment district, a sports complex, outside basketball, skateboard courts, and the ability to assist modernizing one of the few inside malls in the United States, because those malls are ancient. But we have a good one if we put money into it and help them out. So we have to ask ourselves a very fundamental question. Where will the funds come from outside of property taxes? Hence, let the people of Waldorf control how our money is spent versus those that don't. But hey, I'm just complaining. Well, I got my own saying wrong. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. So I'm gonna bring in my special guest. One of them is a Harford County councilman from District A, in Harford County, which covers Edgewood and Joppa. And the other one is La Plata, Councilman in Charles County, Matt Simpson and Andre Johnson. Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started, you know, I have a little history of both of them. Matt, I believe I met you, I want to say it was 2014 or 2013. I think at the time your dad was running for judge.
If it was when Dad was running for judge, it'd been 2013. Yeah.
And we just bumped into one another. I know him from a Pea on a Pod, and we just got to talking and did not know, you know, I don't want to go too much into what he's going to talk about himself, but we had a connection, and that connection was Baltimore. So ever since then, you know, every time we meet up, we have conversations, and he's become someone that I've known over the years that's very blunt and very truthful and straight to the point. So I definitely appreciate that friendship that we developed some time ago. And Andre, I'm probably, 40 years? Known Andre for 40 years. And I'm not going to get into all our stories, but when you know somebody 40 years and they're still around, that's a blessing in itself. So for those who don't have friendships that last that long, if they do, it's a blessing in itself. And I know he's seen the maturation in me, and I've seen the maturation in him. And we just gonna keep pushing forward. So, you know, once again, I thank both of you for being on the show. So, the title of the show is called, Is it a reality to have a municipality? So, before we get started, Andre, you know, tell us a little bit about Andre, the person, and why you ran for office.
Well, DT, the person that I am is, first, let me start off by saying I'm a lifelong resident of Harford County. I grew up here alongside you. I was actually born on Aberdeen Proving Ground when it was a hospital. Went to Edgewood High School, graduated from Edgewood High School. Went to the military, got out the military, became a police officer in Baltimore City and Harford County. Went back after 9/11, went back into the service and finished out my career in 2015 in the Army. I came back to Harford County, to Edgewood. I own a home here. And when I got back here in 2015, I noticed that nothing changed and everything either looked the same or was worse than when I left. So I've never run for anything. Didn't even run for student government in high school or in college or anything like that. And decided to throw my name in the hat in 2018, and I was elected with something like 56% of the vote here in District A. So that's a little bit of my story. I'm married. I have 5 kids, and you know, all of them are out the house except one. I still have one left in the house. He's my knucklehead. But yeah, that's my story. We're gonna keep on pushing forward. I'm clearly a Democrat in a sea of Republicans, and we're gonna keep on pushing because the county in itself needs variety, needs something different, and that's what we're gonna do here. So I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Okay, I gotta find out what happened to Matt. He dropped off. I don't know if he was having connection issues. So as he comes back, and for my viewers, oh, there he is right there. Hold on for a second. All right, you back on, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, so we have technical difficulties, but hey, that's the age we're living in right now, so we're fine with that. So Matt, and tell us about Matt, the Matt, and what made you run for office?
Well, I grew up in Charles County. I was raised by two parents who believed in public service. It was important to them, and they made it important to me and my siblings. My mother was a newspaper editor, and she went after politicians with big family names, even though she married into one, without fear. She instilled that in me. And when I was 21, I ran for the Democratic Central Committee, and I ended up winning after they didn't appoint me to a vacancy that they had when I graduated from college. That was not the best of experiences. And that was 4 years that was less than, we'll say, less than fun. So I took a break, a hiatus. I lived in Baltimore City for a while, practiced law for a little while. And then when Dad ran for judge in 2014 and won, I was asked to come down and fill in his place at the law firm, which I did, and moved back home like the prodigal son. While I was here, I joined the Conservancy for Charles County, an environmental organization, a land trust. And at the same time, I joined the La Plata Business Association, and they approached me shortly before the council elections in 2017 and asked if I would run. And we formed a team, a business association slate, if you will, and we ran as a new day for La Plata, and all 5 of us won against 4 incumbents and one new challenger who ran with the incumbents. And so it was a fun time. What we've quickly found out is that it's fun when you're running and you're a team. Once you're in office, it becomes a little harder to maintain some of that teamwork. And so we've gone our separate ways in terms of policy, but we still do all right. And we think it's been overall beneficial for the town to have a fresh set of eyes, new leaders. And as much as things change, they stay the same. The council, instead of being made up of the old names, is now made up of the same old names, just newer faces.
Okay, yeah, and I think I remember y'all's ad. It looked like something out of a TV. It's like, I don't know if y'all was walking, it's almost like a TV ad or something like that, but I do remember it. So I said, who are these people? So you definitely were all new faces. So Matt, we're gonna stay with you real quick. So for those that don't know, tell us about where La Plata and where it's at, I guess, in comparison to, let's say, Baltimore.
So La Plata is about 25, 26 miles south of DC in southern Maryland. It's situated in the dead center of Charles County, which is basically next door to what is known as Waldorf. Waldorf, which isn't a municipality, but it is known throughout the state as an area. It's a place. And it's been around for a few less years, but what was once Beantown is now one of the larger, as we talked about, Derek, one of the larger cities, if you will, in Maryland. So we sit just outside of DC, just outside of the reach of mass transit. We're a town of about 10 to 11,000 people, but what we have on the books, what's been approved for building since the 90s, we are really a city of about 30,000 to 40,000 people. 25,000 of them just haven't moved here yet. And that looks to be changing over the next decade now that some of our larger projects have been purchased out of the recession and will start getting underway. We're basically St. Paul to Waldorf's Minneapolis, if you will. And we're the county seat of Charles County, where we have the courthouse and some of the urban areas south of the larger suburban area that is Waldorf. And we're the location of the 2002 tornado, which was known for wiping out pretty much the entire central core downtown of La Plata itself, which has since been rebuilt. And we're slowly, the rebuilding is over, and now it's time for redevelopment as times change.
And I live in Waldorf, which is probably about, I'm guessing 10 miles, maybe 8 miles away, depending on where you live at in Waldorf. So people always call Waldorf the other country, and then I call La Plata the other country. I was like, man, I gotta go to Plata. So it's like the further south you go. So Andre, for those that don't know, tell us about District A, which I call the Wood, but we also have Wood and Joppa. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, let me just start off by saying that Edgewood is a very, very diverse community. District A is a very, very diverse community. We have roughly about 26,000 people just in Edgewood alone, and if you throw in Joppa Town as well, because that's our neighboring kind of town, that's just a mile down the road. They have an additional 10 to 12,000 folks down there. So, Edgewood is very diverse. We sit along the 95 corridor. We're roughly about 10 to 15 minutes away from White Marsh, about 20 minutes away from Baltimore City. And on the other side, if you want to go to Delaware and Philadelphia, we're just minutes from Wilmington, Delaware, and about 45 minutes to an hour away from the city of Philadelphia. So we're strategically located right on the 40 corridor, and we consider ourselves a hub for those major cities right there.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I brought you on the show, because we've had a lot of candid and deep conversations about Edgewood. And for those who don't know, I grew up in Edgewood. I grew up pretty much everywhere, but Edgewood is my second home. So I went to Edgewood Elementary part of my life. I went to middle and high school, and I would constantly go back from time to time, but in between there and Alabama. So Edgewood will always have a special place in my heart. Why are you leading this cause to make Edgewood, or District A, or portions of it, whatever it may be, a municipality?
Man, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, so the thing about it is that for my district, the district that I represent, District A here, like I said, District A has roughly, I have roughly 40,000 people that I represent, and within that 40,000 people, we have a group of individuals that really only have one vote at the council level, at the local level. Now, in Harford County, be in mind, there are several different municipalities in Harford County that seem to get more than the outlining county, the county jurisdictions. So I'm looking to go for municipality simply because, number one, if Edgewood were to become a municipality, number one, it would be in control of its own destiny. Two, Edgewood would become the second largest city between the Delaware state line and Baltimore City. And three, that we would be able to create our own sphere of influence and have trash pickup, have an economic development team, things of that nature. So I don't want to bore you with a whole bunch of stuff, but the fact of the matter is that it is time now for a community like Edgewood that has roughly almost 30,000 people to have its own governing body.
Okay, and Matt, and as Dre has mentioned, Edgewood, Joppa, or well, maybe both of them, their population is approximately around 30. La Plata, I think, as you mentioned, the population could get as large as that, or maybe there now. La Plata's been a municipality, I believe, since I think it's at 1888. What are some of the main advantages of being a municipality? And then I'll get into the other questions. But what you've seen through living there, being a councilman, what in your mind is some of the main advantages of being a municipality? Matt, you there? Oh, he went back out. There we go. Technical difficulty. That's fine. So I restate it again. I said,
what are some of the advantages? You want to know what some of the advantages are?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, so take La Plata, for example. It sits in the middle of Charles County. Charles County's grown a lot over the last 20, 30 years, more than doubled in size. Well, La Plata sits right in the middle. It controls its own planning and zoning. Now, not all municipalities are the same, and La Plata has many of the trappings of a larger city, simply because they were planning on all of these developments having come online in the 90s and not today. And so we're built to be a bigger city. Our town government, our town staff, our departments are designed to service a town of 20 to 30,000 even though we're only at a population of around 10 or 11. It'll be interesting to see what the census comes out with, but we'll probably be well over into the mid-sized town range of over 10,000. But what we get from that is the ability to determine our own zoning, determine where our borders are and what happens within them. And anything that we want to take control of, we can, and anything we want to let the county have control of, we can. We're basically on a hierarchy scale. We are the half brothers and half sisters of the county government. We have as much control within our jurisdiction as they do. And in fact, a little bit more. They can't overrule us and we can't overrule them in most areas. And it gives the town of La Plata its own governing structure so that you have, in my case, you can yell at someone much closer to home than you can a county commissioner. And so if something goes wrong, they know who to go to, they know who to find. And so they have their own governing leaders. They set their own destiny, as Andre said. And we have the ability to determine what goes where and when it's built, how it's built. And the nice thing about La Plata is we have our own police force so that we all feel a little bit safer, not just because we have the sheriff, but because we have that additional layer of protection. One of the advantages is it keeps costs lower. I mean, yes, we pay more in taxes, but we get a tax credit back from the county for all duplicated services. So anything that we're doing that they would have otherwise done, we get that county tax money back.
So if there are any disadvantages or something you wish Charles County government would do to assist La Plata, what would it be? Or what have been some of your struggles?
The big thing these days is that, you know, the state only allows so many water and sewer allocations. You can only pull so much water out of the aquifer, and you can only put so much sewage outflow into the environment per day, per year. And so the state sets all of those allocations, and they have determined that as La Plata grows, it's going to need more water, but the county and the town have to share the allocations. And so the state has been saying it's time for you all to work together to split up the water allocations more and to do some interconnectivity to share water and share sewer services, especially in light of the county's struggles in that department. And the county is somewhat loath to do anything that would cost them the ability to do what they want. And the county's real big on building portions of Waldorf, and we understand that, but they're doing so at the cost of growth in places like Indian Head and La Plata, which are your natural urban centers and which is where the growth should be concentrated. Portions of Waldorf, La Plata, and Indian Head, because there are services there designed to support them. And without those water allocations, it sort of puts a kibosh on some of our plans. And when you stop our growth, you stop the growth of the general overall economic vitality of the entire county.
Okay, so as we look a little bit deeper, I've mentioned earlier before that Waldorf, and when we count St. Charles, that literally would make us the second largest city in the state of Maryland, outside of Baltimore. If we just count Waldorf and not St. Charles, that would make us the sixth largest city. But any way you look at it, we're looking at a population, I think we mentioned before, around a third. So when we look at Frederick and Silver Spring and Germantown, Columbia, Harford County's largest municipality is Aberdeen. I believe that's so, Dre? Aberdeen, the largest municipality?
Yeah, Aberdeen is the largest municipality in Harford County.
And in Charles County, of course, is La Plata. So when we look at like Frederick, which is incorporated, it's somewhat similar to Waldorf. And this question is for Andre. Why do you think, I guess for Edgewood and Joppa Town, the powers that be are reluctant to incorporate if you have the ability to do so?
Well, I mean, it just comes down to a numbers game, and the fact of the matter is that Edgewood and Joppa Town is strategically located within what we call the development envelope. So in the development envelope, that's where you get a lot of your revenue that is made through the county. Now the county, the powers to be in the county do not want Edgewood or Joppa Town to become a municipality, simply because it's going to take away from their revenue that's coming in. And subsequently, what they do is they come down to the area and scare the residents by saying that, well, you know what, you're on a fixed income, so becoming a municipality, that's not going to be good for you because now your taxes are going to go up. And it scares a lot of folks to think that their taxes are going to go up because they have no idea how much their taxes are going to go up. And to some degree, the folks, their taxes are going to go up, but it's worth the money in gold simply because you're all the services that Matt was talking about. You're going to have those services and then some. And right now, this area of the county isn't providing those services anyway to my portion of the county. So it's only in our best interest to go ahead and go forward with this.
And I think you had mentioned that pretty much, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with the area, Matt. Well, the Bel Air, they pretty much just use Edgewood as an ATM. We have the Aberdeen Proving Ground, the Edgewood Arsenal. I think there was a discussion about the hotels where Edgewood can't even get any percentage of the hotels that are along the Route 40 corridor. And that's a lot, it's about 6 or 7 hotels where Aberdeen can get that revenue because they're a municipality.
Yeah, so to caveat off of what Derek is saying is that, okay, so you may be aware of the hotel tax. Well, Harford County has legislation where we tax the hotels a little bit more for occupancy.
Give me one break. I'm sorry, I have to cut you all off. That's what happened. You don't have a producer. I got to go get my charger real quick. Did not know my battery was going low, so that would not be good. So, I'll be right back. I'm gonna pause it real quick. Welcome back. Man, that's never happened before. That's my fault. Bad producer, director, editor, I'm all that. It's bad. But Andre, I'm sorry. Just finish up what you were saying.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that Harford County has this thing where we charge the hotels a little bit more for people staying in the hotels. It's called the hotel tax. So roughly every year, Harford County, out of that revenue for the hotel tax, Harford County, I think gets somewhere in the realm of somewhere between 3.5 and almost $5 million in hotel tax revenue. Okay, because and Edgewood, between Joppa and Belcamp. Belcamp is probably about 3 miles up the road from Edgewood. So between Joppa, Edgewood, and Belcamp, there are roughly out of 2,800 bedrooms, hotel bedrooms, 1,900 of them are in that area, that general area right there. So pretty much all the revenue is coming within my district. But yet, because we're not a municipality, we don't receive any of that revenue. Conversely, if you're a municipality, i.e. Bel Air, Aberdeen, Havre de Grace, if a hotel is in your general area, then off the top you get 3%. And then other people within in those jurisdictions can file to the county to get a lot of that money, and none of that revenue is coming back to my district at all. Zero. So that's a major problem. So just by us becoming a municipality, off the top, if no one is awarded any of that money, we would still get 3%.
Okay. So Matt, and me and you've had some conversations about this, but I think the county probably is split. But I know that for me, because I have not seen the things that I want to see for all the money that we pay, I said, you know what? Then maybe Waldorf should be a municipality. You've been here a little bit longer than way longer than me. what is your sense or your opinion of why Waldorf is not a municipality? Because I know people have talked about it, but since I've been here, it may have been on the ballot before I got here or whatever, but when we look at, okay, the population we have, which has grown, why isn't this a topic of discussion amongst, I guess, some of our elected leaders?
Well, it used to be. So back in the 60s and 70s, my grandmother, who was a bean of Beantown, which is what Waldorf used to be called, they used to try and make it a municipality. They wanted one for self-determination because Waldorf has always been designated the development zone. Its proximity to Prince George's and DC, as well as the generally flatter land up on the northern end of the county, allowed for more building. And then when St. Charles came in the 60s and 70s, it was the fear that they would overrun this area. And so they wanted to be able to sort of control that. And as we know now, there are times where the county loses control of whoever the current developer is of St. Charles. And now I believe it's Lennar. But Docket 90 ties the county's hands on what they can and cannot do. And it allows the developer to have a great deal of leeway in terms of taxing county resources without necessarily contributing to the same. Houses don't pay for themselves. Industry pays for the services that we get as residents. Residential development costs more than it brings in revenue. So things like the Andre was talking about, the hotels, that's extra revenue that comes from commercial activity, which helps pay for the things that we want as residents of a town or of a place. Lately, no one really talks about it because they all use, as he said, the same argument where it's going to cost you more, it's going to cost you more. And Charles County taxes are relatively high because of that very reason. Houses don't pay for themselves. But at the same time, you have Waldorf that's sort of overseen by 5 people, all very fine people, but only one of them, or maybe even 2 of them, live in the vicinity of Waldorf. And so you have 5 people making decisions for you that are from all over the county that have maybe different interests. And so if you have a municipality in a place like Waldorf, and the reason they should be talking about it is because now they wants to allow more retail commercial development and more housing development to go on in Waldorf, in addition to St. Charles. And again, that stuff doesn't pay.
Be back. We have technical difficulties. Even the school system is going.
That's the big thing.
It'll come back, Matt. You kind of blinked out the reception. You still there, Joy?
Yeah, I'm here. I think the same thing that Matt is saying. It's indicative. It's indicative of what is being said in Harford County. It's just, up here in Harford County, we have 7 members on the council, and once again, the 7 members on the council, most of them live north of 95. So they're making judgments on a community, or telling a community what they can and can't do, and have no idea, don't even live in that area. So to Matt's point, it's just frustrating for me as the county councilman for District A to only have 1 vote for my district, and to be outvoted because other members on the council, for whatever reasons, don't want to see progress within my district.
Okay. So Matt, I want you to go ahead. So we had the technical difficulty. So, and I definitely know what Dre's talking about, and we somewhat have that here, but we only have 5. But go ahead, continue, Matt. He went back out again.
Well, it's the commissioners, but the planning commission is for the whole county. And so you have my planning commission in La Plata only deals with La Plata, and everyone on my planning commission lives in La Plata. So the people who are making the big decisions on every level live town. Might
Right.
live in Indian Head or Hughesville. They could live anywhere but Waldorf, yet they're making the decisions that affect everyday citizens of Waldorf. And it's isn't so much extra government as it is government that works in coalition with your county. And besides, the county government will get cheaper if Waldorf has its own government because, well, they'll be duplicating services that the county no longer needs to provide. And so it would assume that we could shrink the county government some.
Well, that's a great point too, because even here in Harford County, the county government seems to also be outsourcing things for the county, i.e. grass cutting or whatever the case may be. And but it's still like my district still isn't getting their bang for their dollar because, like I said, once again, it's only me voting for, hopefully trying to sway some people on the council to help me do something in my district.
So as we close out, Matt, if there's any advice, I guess you could give Andre, as well as, you know, the citizens of the Waldorf, I don't know who would vote Waldorf or Charles County, about to seriously think about the formation of a municipality, what would you say, you know, as far as the advice and starting the process?
That for everyone who advocates for smaller county governments should advocate for their local government. If they have a local municipality government, you don't need all of that county government because, well, you have people closer to home that are representing your everyday interests on an everyday basis. I don't speak for someone in Indian Head. They have a commissioner that does it on the county level, and they have a mayor and town council that do it on their local level. I speak for the people of Plata, and I speak for them on very specific issues that they deal with every day. And we all choose the lanes that we go in, but a municipality is not that expensive, and it puts your services right close to home, which is what they want.
Okay. Well, I definitely thank both of you for being on the show. Andre, you know I'm going to be working with you as closely as I can to get that formation of the municipality. And Matt, you know, I visit La Plata a lot, so I know we'll cross paths post-corona, who knows, but we'll still cross paths. So I definitely appreciate you both being on the show. I want you to continue to be safe and continue to be those ardent supporters for your respective districts. And, you know, as always, I appreciate everything that y'all do. So once again, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, Derek, can you also pass my information on to Matt? Because I would love to continue this conversation as well.
Oh, will do. I'll pass it on sometime after this, because I have to head to another event, but I definitely will pass it on. So once again, I definitely thank y'all again. All right.
And I appreciate you. Opening up the dialogue, Derek. I really appreciate that.
All right, y'all. Peace and blessings.
Thanks.
Bye.
So that was a good show. So I'm about to close out, but before I close out, I just want to put some stuff up here just so you could see. Where is it at? I'm hoping this pops up. If it doesn't, my apologies. All right, so of course we can bypass that. So as I did my research, I was really trying to come up with some pros for municipality. So, you know, like they had mentioned before, Matt had mentioned, you govern yourself and the powers granted through the charter. You know, just a host of reasons. Reduce county rate for county services, property tax, values equal property taxes, business equals business taxes. You have your own police, fire department, centralized government with all elections, tax payments within the city. More respect from the state and county government role will be limited to how Waldorf operates. We have more control of the future of Waldorf. Powers granted the city through the charter. I think I already put that on there. I don't know why it's on there twice. Residents must live in Waldorf to run from any elected office. So, and that's key and that's critical to having our best interests in mind. And it's the 6th largest city in Maryland outside of Baltimore. But if you include St. Charles, it would be the 2nd largest city. So that's really something to think about. You're talking about somewhere between 120, 125, whatever it may be, 1,000 people that would make up Waldorf and St. Charles, or what we would call Waldorf. Of course, you have cons to anything. We have to seek out water and sewer services. You know, Matt had mentioned before that there has to be a sharing of the water. We may have to contract police department or establish our own, depending on you know, what our situation is. Businesses may feel the tax burden because we're taxing them, and the county may be taxing them as well. Residents must live the run for elected office linked to Waldorf. And I look at that as someone possibly saying a disadvantage, because they say, look, maybe they live in La Plata, but they do a lot of business in Waldorf, and they're like, look, I should have as much say as the resident. And then there may be some upfront money to be raised to provide to start the municipality process. So, you know, those are like my pros and cons. So as I leave, like I told everybody before, I don't make any money off this show. All my guests come on for free. I do advertising for free. But if you want to support me and what I'm doing as far as a special education advocate, I provide reduced fees for the parents of kids with special needs. So I have T-shirts. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you can go to edvocare.org and just go to store. And I also have masks. Like we're gonna be having those for a while. So if you need a mask, I have masks right there. And then also, if you want to get the book, you can also get my book, and you know, I sign it. So with that, I appreciate everyone coming on. I appreciate once again Councilman Andre Johnson and Councilman Matt Simpson for being on the show. Councilman Johnson being from District A in Harford County, Edgewood, Joppa area, and Councilman Matt Simpson being from La Plata, Maryland, and in Charles County, where I currently reside. So once again, it has been a pleasure. We're going to take you out with my jam, the only way I can do, as soon as it comes on. And I just wish everyone the best, and peace and blessings.